Hello, my name is Wendy DeVault, and I'd like to thank you for clicking on the Literacy Volunteers of Harrison County YouTube page. Today I'm giving the sixth in a series of 8 lessons on the parts of speech. So far I've done nouns and pronouns, verbs and adverbs, and adjectives. And today we're going to go on to prepositions. So first, let's talk about the definition. A preposition is a word that shows location, time, direction, and then it says etc. because generally prepositions just give extra information. And it doesn't have to be one of those 3, but it can be. The thing about prepositions, the number one thing you have to know is they can't occur alone in isolation. They have to be part of a phrase or they're not prepositions. So here's a little formula I came up with. You have to begin with a preposition and end with a noun or pronoun. Now in the middle, you might have some adjectives. That's why I put that in parentheses. But you must have something called a prepositional phrase, or it's not a preposition. A term you might hear in school for this noun or pronoun is called the object of the preposition. So when people talk about the object of the preposition, that's what it is, the noun or pronoun at the end. Here are 4 examples. Let's go through those. In the refrigerator. If you look up here, that's location. In is your preposition. Refrigerator is your noun. If you remember, we learned that the is called an article. It's an adjective. So this is your prepositional phrase. You have to have this. After lunch tells time. After is your preposition. Lunch is your noun. And you can see some prepositional phrases are only 2 words, but you have to have a minimum of 2 words. Across the street, that tells location. You begin with the preposition, you end with a noun, and then sometimes you have little articles in between. And then this one's the longer one, of my favorite teachers. If you notice, this doesn't tell location, time, or direction, it's the etc. It gives you extra information. So you start with a preposition, you end with a noun, and look here, we have some adjectives. We have favorite, telling what kind of teacher, okay, and then my is a possessive pronoun. We learned those before, so that would be 4, but they all do the same thing. Start with a preposition, end with a noun or pronoun. So I have some facts I want to teach you about preposition. The first is that preposition, there are so many of these. I suppose if you account there would be 90 to 100, but what I did was list the dozen that you'll see most of the time. These are the most common prepositions. So we have about, after, at, before, during, for, in, of, and on, over, to, and with. Just think how many times throughout the day you use these words, or when you're writing, how often you use them. Another bit of information I want to give you is that it used to be a rule to never end a sentence with a preposition, but the rule has softened over time. What they want you to do is look at the sentence and see if you can rearrange the words, and if it doesn't sound weird, then rearrange it and try not to end with that preposition. Now that might sound confusing, so I wanted to give you this example. A coach is someone most people look up to. Look at the end. We have the word to. Okay, that's a preposition, and it ends the sentence. You want to avoid this. If you take the ACT or SAT, they would probably give you a question like this. Well, can you rearrange these words? Or even eliminate a few to say the same thing, but move to into a whole prepositional phrase? Yeah, you can. Most people look up to a coach. Look what we did. Okay, we rearranged some words, and now we have a prepositional phrase, not just a preposition. So this, okay, we want to avoid this if we can. This is the better way to do this. Okay, I have 2 more bits of information about prepositions. So people might wonder, what's the point of knowing prepositions? And there's a bigger purpose. Knowing prepositions can help you identify the subject of a sentence, and subject is one of the most important parts of any sentence. You can avoid many common sentence errors or mistakes if you know what the subject is. But students always have trouble finding the subject. my biggest tip is to eliminate all the prepositional phrases, then look for the subject. So let's look here. After the football game, we will go to Pizza Hut. So again, before you start looking for anything, eliminate the prepositional phrases. After the football game, that is a prepositional phrase, okay? After is your preposition, game is your noun, that's one. So we can eliminate all of that. None of that will be the subject, okay? Then can we have any more prepositional phrases? To Pizza Hut, okay? It's another one. Eliminate, now look what we did. We eliminated 7 words, and we will go. We have to look for the subject there. Who's doing what? We. See how easy that is? A lot of students would tell me game is the subject or Pizza Hut's the subject. It can't be, okay? This is one of the best uses for prepositions. Okay, one of my friends lives in New York. Again, let's look to see. A lot of people would tell me friends is the subject, but it can't be. It's in a prepositional phrase. So we want to eliminate that. Can we eliminate anything else? Yes, we have where in New York. That's another prepositional phrase. Look how easy it is now to find the subject and verb. One is the subject, lives is the verb. Makes it so simple. Okay, and the last bit of information before we practice finding prepositional phrases is that if a word of the list of preposition occurs alone in the sentence, that word is an adverb now. It's not a preposition. Because remember, it has to be a prepositional phrase. Bring your skateboard inside. Inside's a preposition, but it's by itself. Okay, it's not part of the phrase. So this now is an adverb. It tells where to bring. Okay, but I can fix it. Okay, and make it a prepositional phrase. Bring your skateboard inside the garage. So now it's part of a phrase, and it's not an adverb, it's a preposition. Okay. So let's practice. Over here I have 4 sentences for you. In the morning, the bus arrives at 7. So remember, we're looking for location, direction, time. Okay, so I have time in the morning. Okay, here's my preposition. I have this whole phrase. And I have some more about time. I have at, that's your preposition, 7. Okay, so I have 2 prepositional phrases. Preposition noun and preposition noun. Will you play a game of chess with me? Okay. Here we don't have time or location. We have that little extra information, and we have the most common prepositions. Of is one of the dozen most common. Of what? Of chess. There's your prepositional phrase. And then we have with, one of the top 12, with me. Okay, so we have, this sentence ends with 2 back-to-back prepositional phrases. Neither of these dogs is wearing a color. Okay, a lot of students would tell me dogs is the subject here. It is not. If you look, it's part of this of again, is so common. Okay, of these dogs is a prepositional phrase. If you remember what I told you, eliminate all of that. That's not the subject. The word neither, okay, that's a pronoun, that's the subject. And neither is singular, that's why I have is instead of are. People hear dogs and they would say are wearing a color. That's wrong, okay, so it's very helpful with pronouns. If you are covered in mud, please stay outside, okay. So we have in mud right here, okay. And it gives you a little extra information. In is one of our dozen ones, so there's your prepositional phrase. And I just want to remind you, we do have outside, but it's by itself. It's not part of a phrase. So that makes it, do you remember, an adverb, okay? Because it's telling where you're supposed to stay. So I hope all this was a nice little overview of prepositions for you. Thank you for watching.